Have you ever stopped to ask yourself if your brain, that incredible engine of thoughts, choices, and memories, could actually be sharper, calmer, and healthier when you reach the age of 80 than it was in your 50s or even your 60s? This is not a simple question about preventing decline, because decline is what society has trained us to expect, but rather about discovering whether the human brain has hidden abilities to rewire itself, regenerate connections, and develop new strengths late in life that most people never even attempt to unlock. Scientists call this ability neuroplasticity. But the truth is, for people over 60, the practical side of neuroplasticity is rarely explained in a way that feels achievable. And that is why many miss the chance to create a brain that keeps growing stronger instead of weaker. If you look at certain cultures where people routinely live past 90 with sharp thinking, you will notice habits that are less about puzzles and memory games and more about the way they live daily life, how they move, how they engage in conversations, how they cultivate curiosity, how they carry stories, how they deal with stress, and how they find meaning in what seems ordinary. A brain at 80 does not stay healthy by accident, and it doesn't only depend on genes. It thrives on a steady diet of challenge, purpose, and emotional balance. Imagine this: every time you learn a new skill, whether it's as simple as practicing a new recipe, as playful as learning to dance, or as mentally stretching as trying to understand a new language, you are building new neural highways that make the brain younger instead of older. Most people think the secret is just doing crosswords or Sudoku, but the reality is those activities recycle the same circuits over and over again. What your brain craves is novelty, surprise, and effort that slightly pushes you out of your comfort zone. But here is something even more fascinating. Emotions play as powerful a role as exercise. When you relive moments of joy, practice gratitude, or engage in storytelling with loved ones, your brain releases chemicals that strengthen memory and increase plasticity. That is why elders who laugh often, share wisdom, and maintain social bonds tend to retain clarity even in very late life. And the opposite is true as well. Chronic loneliness, bitterness, or constant passive living actually shrink the hippocampus, the part of the brain that holds memory. The reason many 80-year-olds lose mental sharpness is not just age, but years of disengagement, predictable routines, and emotional stagnation. Now, here is the part that almost no one tells you. The brain can physically grow new neurons even in the 8th decade of life through a process called neurogenesis, fueled by deep sleep, consistent learning, movement, and surprisingly, by meaning. People who wake up each day with a sense of responsibility, whether it's caring for grandchildren, nurturing a garden, mentoring someone younger, or even writing down lessons for future generations, trigger parts of the brain that keep it young. Think of the difference between a person who retires into endless television and another who retires into endless curiosity. One is slowly shutting down their circuits, while the other is turning them into a living forest of new pathways. And here's a shocking truth. Your diet doesn't just fuel your body, it rewires your brain's chemistry. Too much processed sugar fogs memory, but foods rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and colorful plants act like brain polishers, protecting cells from damage. Add to that the overlooked art of breathing. When you practice slow breathing, you increase oxygen supply, reduce stress hormones, and keep the brain's decision-making centers active. Stress, if left unmanaged, is the silent killer of brain health, because cortisol eats away at memory centers. Yet, controlled bursts of challenge, like learning something new or exercising, actually make the brain stronger. This paradox is what separates decline from resilience. Avoid destructive stress, but embrace growth stress. So will your brain be healthier at 80? The answer depends on what you do starting now. Every new challenge you accept, every connection you nurture, every step you take in nature, every moment of purpose you honor is a deposit into your future brain health. And it is not just about avoiding Alzheimer's or dementia. It is about expanding creativity, deepening emotional intelligence, and keeping curiosity alive. Imagine yourself at 80, not just recalling old memories, but actively creating new ones, telling stories that inspire others, solving problems with clarity, laughing with vitality, and still surprising yourself with what you are capable of. The world has enough examples of decline. What it needs now are living examples of growth. The truth is, aging does not have to mean fading. It can mean sharpening. The question is not whether the brain is capable, but whether you are willing to give it the chance. If you start feeding your mind with challenge, your emotions with connection, and your body with energy, then yes, your brain can absolutely be healthier at 80 than it ever was before. And in that truth lies a rare kind of golden wisdom, that the final chapters of life can be the sharpest, most meaningful, and most alive if you choose to write them with intention.